Okay, it is. I'm slow. I got 8:58.
I got 9:04.
On that?
Yep.
Okay, then 9:04 it is. I'll have to adjust my time. Sometimes I run a little slow, but okay. So, do we have a motion on the minutes?
Move the minutes of February 12th, 2025.
Be approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion, comments, changes?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. New business, discussion, vote, action, advisors, review of the portfolio. Well, we'll have to give them a call. Before we get started, is there anything that we need to talk about?
I just want to make a comment. If we cut him short, because he's going to tell us we lost, we know what he's going to tell us.
Yeah.
We can spend more time on
Yeah.
the discussion for increasing the scholarships and the combining
Morning.
of the funds.
Well, we have had discussions with Ed in the past that he was too verbose, and that he would kind of, tell us more than we needed to know.
Yes.
So, I don't know how you want to go about that, but it would be nice if it was like, I don't even write notes when he talks
No,
anymore.
it's-
It just,
Yeah.
so,
Hi, sorry I'm late.
Yeah, I mean, he could just do the
A
brief overview.
a brief overview,
And then
yeah.
questions if need be.
That's
but,
right, yeah. So I think maybe we could
Yeah,
ask for
pretty
Yeah,
that.
but we could even say, we
In the
we
interest
have some
of
other
time,
agenda items
yep.
we'd like to get to, so.
Yeah. Just a brief overview,
Yeah.
anything pertinent we need to know,
Whose
And-
idea is this?
all of
It's
ours.
brilliant.
Yeah, it is
Oh,
excessive.
Elaine smells blood in the water again.
Sorry, what?
I said you smell blood in the water, you go for Ed's
No, are we
jugular.
being filmed? I have to be on my best behavior. We're not being filmed yet.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Been in trouble a lot.
No, not lately.
Well, I'm just going to turn to say hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Put my Terry mask on the back of my head.
Okay.
I see that.
Okay, yes, we can do that.
Thank you.
Ask them to be brief in their presentation. Is there anything else on here that we want to discuss with them, or is the rest for us? Increasing the scholarship amounts, I don't think. is-
That's all us.
Prior meeting, further review and discussion,
Yeah.
to combining funds that are inactive. Again, I think
Yep.
we would decide and then tell them.
Yep.
So I
Yeah.
guess we'll just have them do their review and a little bit on their forecast.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
high level.
Who cares about that?
Well, exactly, we
You know
can
what,
read
I
the
don't-
report.
Honestly, we'll see what they have to say, but did you read their piece? Did you get the piece they sent out?
I did not.
No,
Okay, so 3 weeks ago, Lucas, when this all started.
Oh, yes, I
Tariff-
saw that.
That's
Yeah.
Tariff day. So I
Yes.
think that will probably be the same,
Yeah.
what we're gonna hear today, because nothing's really changed
Right.
except more volatility.
Right.
So-
Well, because
Stayed
it's
the
been
course.
delayed, yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So,
Delay.
Which is what their, message was.
Right,
But this report is through March 31st.
correct.
And all the,
So we're not gonna see, yes, so we
Yeah,
could.
the bad damage.
Yes, we could, I would like to ask, how is April thus?
well,
well, why don't we just scrap the review of the report and ask for the current condition?
That's
Because we can
probably
read
more, yeah.
ourselves there
Yeah,
and just say, okay, we see this, don't need to talk about that.
Okay,
Where are we today?
I didn't download it. I thought did you make copies?
Yeah, it's
of-
up
Yeah,
there.
oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
there you go.
It'll be on the screen.
Oh.
And
Yeah,
we
that
gotta
should
go
do it.
through your phone, right?
Yeah, because
Okay.
then we don't have a cable for that, because we need the cable for the TV, so I'm gonna call them.
So we're
Okay.
gonna, through your phone?
Yeah.
This is a disadvantage of an old town hall.
Yeah, yeah. What is that, you want me to call them?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Go
go ahead.
ahead.
Yes, I thought you were. That's fine.
Welcome to the audio conferencing center. Please enter a conference ID followed by pound. If you're the meeting organizer, press star now. You are now joining the meeting. Please wait for the leader to admit you to the meeting. Thank you for your patience. You are now joining the meeting.
Good morning.
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 How is it, everyone?
Good, how you doing?
Good. We're all here and present on our end. How are you?
All right, great. Doing great. Now that the weather broke 60 degrees, finally, and there's no wind, so
Yeah, 60 is nice. I wish it would stay 60
Me too.
all summer.
Me too.
Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
don't know. It's lost a little bit of spring there, but all right. Well, Ed is on, Lucas is on, so if we're ready,
Good morning,
I'm
everyone.
going to hand it off to Ben.
All right. We were just talking about the volatility in the market and all of these numbers and things that we've got to run through March 31st. I think everyone has looked at them. We don't need you to spend time on that. We're just more concerned about April and May and going forward. So maybe you could spend more time on that, unless there's something critical that you think we need to know about your written report.
Great. So this is Lucas. Good morning, everyone. I'll take the lead for today, and Ed will provide some color. I think that's a great approach. The first quarter, you have the returns. It was still a challenging quarter. The portfolio being down about 2%. But the nice thing was diversification appeared to be working well. And, some of the U.S. tech companies sold off in the first quarter. You'll see also that we didn't make any significant changes to the portfolio. And if you look at the asset allocation, we're positioned just from a stock bond perspective or stock perspective, right around benchmark. And the reason for that is that we've just really entered an uncertain time. And, Ed and I, our clients want us to tell us what the future will be. And right now, the future is very murky. The hard data, which is the economy, GDP, the unemployment, the actual figures are very strong. Inflation's low, unemployment is low. The economy, was growing. There's some distortion caused by gold purchasing, but the data that's been printed is strong. But the other data, which they refer to as soft data, and this is survey-based data from manufacturing to investor sentiment. Those measures are at essentially all-time lows, and the level of sentiment, investor sentiment, both on portfolio managers and individual investors, is at the levels that we have not seen since the depths of the COVID sell-off, as well as the depths of the global financial crisis. So investor sentiment is as bad as it was in March of 2009, which was the absolute bottom of the market. So these indicators tend to be historically contraindicators, and oftentimes signal a good time to buy. And we're seeing some rebounding today and yesterday. But we still, at Webster, believe that the markets are going to remain volatile. It doesn't appear that we're out of the woods. The markets themselves, a single tweet from Donald Trump pushed the markets up 10%, but also April 2nd pushed the markets down 10% in 2 days. So that's indicative of just a market trying to find its way. And thankfully, as I said, diversification has been working well. Talking about, let's say, through yesterday, the main fund portfolio was down 3.5% for April. It's probably going to pick up percent and a half once the markets open up. So these numbers are temporary. But I also do want to remind you, we're not living and dying by a single month or quarter. 1-year numbers are up 6%, 3-year numbers up 7%, 5-year 9% if you include April month to date. So performance over the long term remains solid. But right now we're just getting very mixed signals. I think one of the, so if you look at what happened just in the past few days, Trump mused about firing the Fed chairman. And investors have said, that's crossing the line. And so the market sold off because we investors want the Fed to be independent of politics. And it seems like Trump might try to find a way to discredit and perhaps even fire. We don't think that's going to happen because it'll be a long legal battle, and Chairman Powell, his position is up next May, so he's going to be the Fed chairman because that will get resolved before he leaves. But it definitely scared the markets. Then yesterday, Trump backtracks on that. The markets rebound. He also makes mention of making a deal with China. Treasury Secretary Percent also says we need to make, this is unsustainable, we need to make a deal with China. The problem here is that China is not talking to us. So it's right now a one-sided conversation. And the Chinese tend to have a longer-term focus on their decisions than we do in the United States. So currently, in President Trump, every president, he may claim he doesn't care about the stock market, but he definitely cares about the stock market. And he's getting pressured because this is the worst performance out of the stock market in the first year of an administration. I think it goes back 100 years, and we're starting to talk about the Great Depression. So I don't personally know Donald Trump, but based on his behavior, his actions, this is weighing on him, and I guess we're still playing a dangerous game of chicken with China. So we've essentially held off on making adjustments to the portfolio. If you recall, last quarter we talked about the small cap stock. I went back and looked at my notes just to kind of clear things up. We manage portfolios and come up with an internal type of model, and we wrote about adjustments to our model. But one of the features of our investment approach is that we customize them to each individual investor. And so we collectively, when we adjusted the benchmark, chose a smaller allocation to international and a smaller allocation to small cap. So we didn't make those adjustments in your portfolio. We did, at the end of last year, sell out of some large cap U.S. stock and add it to international. So that was actually a rebalancing trade, and that's worked out. But the reason for the discrepancy between our language of adding to small cap and then the actions in your portfolio were largely due to the custom benchmark and us adjusting to the new benchmark. So going forward, we'll do a better job of clarifying. We'll still write our commentary, but I just want to warn you that sometimes the things that are discussed may not immediately hit your portfolio because a neutral allocation to small cap for this portfolio would be significantly lower than a neutral small cap allocation in our large portfolio. Not significant, but a few percentage points. So I just wanted to clear that up so we don't have confusion going forward. But
Lucas,
As I
this is
mentioned,
Elaine.
markets
Lucas.
Oh, yeah, please.
Lucas,
Jump in.
sorry to interrupt. Thank you very much. I'll give you a time to take a breath, and I'm going to ask a couple questions on this. So first of all, thank you for clarifying that point from our last meeting. I did notice in this quarter it was pretty quiet, and I don't blame you. A lot of volatility out there. You did add to international though, which we've discussed many times are underweighting, and it seems to be that things may be turning a little bit in that direction, at least for the moment. So is that going to continue to be a trend, do you think?
I think you have to kind of look at, there's a short-term lens and a long-term lens. So much of what's happening today is a lot of noise. But remember, we decided as a group that we wanted a higher allocation to U.S. equities. And our thesis remains the same, that the best place to do business in the world is in the United States. If ignoring tariffs and these other factors, deregulation, the relative ease of doing business in the United States remains superior to the rest of the world. And yes, we've seen some recent rebounding from very kind of oversold and underperformed international markets. But fundamentally, Europe hasn't changed. Maybe they're going to borrow to spend more and stimulate, but structurally, the same problems still exist. And so I think in the short run, we could continue to see outperformance out of international because there's just less noise. But for the longer term, the U.S. remains, we think, the economic powerhouse, particularly when you start to factor in the technological innovation. More is happening here. We're going to be talking about this on our calls going forward. What's going to happen with AI? Are we going to have humanoid robots in our houses that replace our cleaning lady and other people? There's going to be a lot of innovation, and I think much of it's coming from the U.S. And so, long term, really bullish on the United States. Short term, just uncertain because we have what appears to be decision makers who don't seem to be following any form of playbook and are just inserting uncertainty in the markets. So, long-winded answer, but summary, we still remain bullish on U.S. equities.
Elaine, are you set?
Sure. Lucas, you didn't really answer if you're going to continue to add to international. So uncertain at this time, would that be the answer?
Yes, uncertain at this time. We don't want to be chasing performance. Like I said, we don't believe that anything's fundamentally changed. And the European Union is the biggest portion of that international bucket. We don't think anything's fundamentally changed in Europe as of yet.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have questions?
No, I'm good. I agree with him staying the course. I think that's smart. Yeah. It's too hard to know. S&P 500. That's where you need to be, really.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
All right, you guys have,
This is Ed, sorry. The challenge with Europe is, since the formation of the European Union, the strong have to carry the lead. So, Germany is kind of more of an industrial powerhouse.
Oh, then you should have been here. Where are you?
No offense to Spanish people. They like to take their siesta in the afternoon. So, you've got a lot of averaging out in the European Union. I just got back from France and I had a long discussion with a gentleman about the welfare state and how if you're a married couple with no kids, you still have to subsidize the school systems and kind of pay for services that you don't use yourself. And it's more of a socialist type of approach. And I think that's a structural issue for Europe when it comes to competing against the U.S. for investment dollars. So that really is one of the driving forces behind our relative bullishness on the U.S. versus Europe.
Okay, let me just say, we had a brief interruption here with someone. The town manager came into our meeting, and so I lost the first 50 words of what you just said. Could you just repeat that part of the tape?
Sure, Terry. So I was recently in France and had a conversation with a gentleman about about France and the European Union. And, he described France as a welfare state where, everyone had to basically pay into the system, regardless of whether or not you used certain government services. So it had a kind of a, what's the right word? I want to make it more mediocre is the theme in my head. And that also applies country by country, where you've got Germany as more of an economic powerhouse of Europe, and Spain more of a, let's say, a taker. Germany might be a giver, Spain's a taker. The net result is that the European Union is I think, mired in mediocrity structurally. So, that's a big reason why we've been underweight international. It's been a right call for over 10 years. You've seen flashes here and there of international outperforming, and I think that's a reflection of what you see now with the international benchmark up just under 9. I think that's more a reflection of investment dollars moving away from the U.S. temporarily, and that temporarily is very key.
Okay, thank you. I got it.
Just one question, Lucas. Lucas, are you there?
Lucas?
Yes, sorry. Yes.
This is Bill. I've just been hearing one word recently that going into the future, and that is recession. What's your opinion about that?
I think it's a distinct possibility. I think what we want to probably talk about, and again, there's technical terms. Recession is going to be 2 quarters of negative GDP. It's becoming more likely that that's going to happen. But the severity should be modest, and it's hard to know whether it's fully priced in or partly priced in. We've looked at history, and the markets, the stock market tends to fall by 32% on average during a recession. We dip down 20% from the peak. And again, 32% is the average, inclusive of some more severe downturns. So recession would not surprise us. And that's the economy. But the market, where we're investing, we at this point think that it'll be muted. But I am a little concerned about next quarter's hard data. When we see, if we were to see a spike in inflation and a drop in GDP, I think there'll be some market gyrations. But again, looking forward 6, 12, 18 months, as things settle, we remain optimistic. But yes, recession is a definite possibility. And, some have argued that we're already in a recession.
I think the thing to look for, in my opinion, is, what the companies are saying as they're reporting earnings this quarter. And for the first time, there's been, a lot of companies saying, "Ooh, we're pulling back." And so that will eventually make its way into their earnings. And so when you start to see a drop in the year-over-year change of companies' earnings growth, that's when the market really is not going to be happy.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but remember that without getting political, this is all self-inflicted. This is all on Trump. If Trump, he's watching the economy as well, and I think he's demonstrated that he'll make threats and pull back from them. The economy was in the global economy was in great shape leading into his term. So it's really his tariff talk that's causing companies to say that they're going to pull back. If Trump, acknowledges and realizes that he's totally wrong on the tariff thing, which I personally think he is, then the economy can reestablish itself, and the negative signs will quickly disappear.
We're one tweet away from a 10% jump in the market.
Exactly.
Let's have some. How about some insider trading investigations? Wouldn't that be nice?
Are you talking about Marjorie? Well, didn't he publicly say it was the time to buy?
It is.
Yeah.
I think
In all
that's
caps.
pretty much. Yeah, I think that pretty much did it. Well, he had to tank the market so his friends could buy low.
Well, that's the thing.
And now they'll come up, and everybody will be happy.
Anyway, well, thank you guys. Does anybody have any more questions?
Just next meeting.
Yes, next meeting. Thank you.
Right. Any
Is
other
that in
questions at
person?
all for Lucas or Ed?
No.
No, we're just
Looking for the next
We're
meeting.
good.
Looking-
All right.
Person?
Well, as good
July?
as we can be, right?
July, right?
Let me get the calendar up.
And is that in person?
All right, so we're looking at July.
Right,
so,
and I think
yeah.
that's an in-person one. Everyone is nodding their head
I
here.
believe so.
This is the in-person meeting.
All right, bring your bathing suit.
There you go. And a
Okay.
reservation at the Matunuck Oyster Bar for lunch.
Bathing suit.
We go- Meeting's at 11 o'clock and
Yeah,
lunch
at
is
the
at
Matunuck
1:30.
Oyster Bar.
All right, so the week of the 21st, I guess, would be the place to start.
Is that too quick for you guys? We moved it up this week, quarter because of travel schedules or something, I believe.
Yeah, we missed January.
Do you want to do the week
Yeah, I
of
know
the
we're
28th?
getting to the
Right,
vacation mode, so I gotta work around it.
okay. So would you like the week of the 21st?
Yeah, we stick to Wednesdays, so I guess the 23rd would be the first date. Now, Lucas, I mean, how do you look?
The 23rd is good for me. The 30th is good for me.
Okay.
23rd, good for everybody.
And the 6th. So
23rd,
all those
yeah.
Wednesdays after the 21st are good.
23rd at 9 a.m.
Sure. Good for me.
All right.
All right, I booked it.
Okay, guys, we'll have a good
All right,
spring.
23rd. All right, we will, and thank you.
Keep up the good work.
Thank
See you in
you.
July.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay, thank you.
All right, have a good one.
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.
I think that worked out much better.
Yeah.
He was, yeah, we.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well, we can read. We don't need to
yeah,
have it read
I
to us.
completely agree. So I just want to point out to the committee here that the reason I brought the question up, and even though we are still underweight international, they did double our position last quarter.
Yes, that's correct.
To 2%, 1.7%.
Right.
So, you know.
They
they're-
did add,
Yes,
yeah.
they did add to it. And that's why I asked. So they are we are very underweighted, which, you know, has been fine.
And this is a weird time to move, so I don't blame them at all.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was a tiny little amount.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But he did say that the global economy looks good.
right. So I'm
So-
curious if they're going to keep moving in that
So let's keep
direction.
moving in
Well,
that
they just
direction.
need some resolution on what the global economy is going to
No,
look like after.
I think we need to either move toward the tariff or get off the topic because the market can't stand this
You know, I'm
boomerang.
just gonna figure it out. It'll be what it'll be, and it's
Yeah.
probably gonna be less bad than we think,
Let's
because
hope so.
obviously the market means a lot to a lot of people in Washington right now, so, but, yeah.
We'll see.
So. All right, what's next?
All right, next on the bill, discussion from a prior meeting, increasing the scholarship amounts
Did you guys
appropriated
already
from
approve
the
the minutes?
fund.
Yeah,
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay.
Increasing scholarship amounts appropriated from the fund. Okay, again, I mean, that, we can make a recommendation on that, but it's not our call, that's the council's
Right.
decision.
Right.
Well, the one thing I think the last quite a few years, it's been what is it, 2,000 total, like a 1,500 and a 500, or
It's been very low.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
something along those. I think it's
Right.
1,000 and maybe 1,500 or 1,500. The total is either 1,500 between the two
Yeah.
or 2,000, whatever it
Right.
might be. And that's been what we've been doing. And actually, I think we can, not that it changes it much, but we can go off of what was earned for income the prior year, so, which would increase it, I think, slightly, not much. I think we just, the norm has just been taking those set amounts.
Yeah.
And I think we actually, if you look at just the income from those, I think they're actually, on the good years, it would be more. And that's where I think,
Can you remind me which ones they are?
and that's why
Everything but the neighborhood guild, basically. So you've got
Close to scholarship?
Carolyn Hazard.
There's only
No,
two
no, there's only
scholarships.
two.
There's only two
Oh.
scholarships.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
I couldn't, do you know which ones? I didn't bring those. Actually, I can look it up now, actually.
Is it the
Um,
Shannon Fund
The Shannon Fund
and the Mott, Robinson?
no, not the
No?
Robinson.
Defoe,
Which
It
ones
might be
don't?
yeah, it might be that one.
Defoe, I think.
'Cause that one's,
Fund
yeah.
So the
and-
Shannon's income is 1558.6.
Yep.
I can't tell. I don't have
Yep.
glasses.
Yeah.
so far.
And the
I know
Dufault
too.
Fund, and the Raymond Dufault.
Raymond
Yeah,
Defoe.
so that's, so I mean,
So
I think we
Shannon
are,
and what?
and the
Dufault.
Dufault, thank you. So that one's 387.
387. So actually, real. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd be looking at closer to 2,000, and I think we've been doing historically just the 1,500, 1,000, and 500. Where the in actual, and I think the rationale of that is it's just always been the 1,500 because of the good years. You could have gone higher, but you don't. In the bad years, you stay at the 1,500. So officially, we could go a little higher.
I think-
without any changes.
Well, we had
But you're
discussed.
wait. We're eating into principal on the default fund if we're sending 500 because it only generates 387 in income.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
just to clarify there.
But we're not talking about appreciation. We're just talking about taking the money from the income.
Right. No, but right now it's been
Less
1,000.
than the income.
Yeah. Right now it's been
The gift,
1,500.
the
But
scholarship
that's
is
one of the funds we're talking about. That's not one of the funds
No.
we're talking about
No.
moving.
no,
No.
and we're not moving anything. It's not our decision in my.
Nope.
As I understand
Nope.
it, it's not our decision.
Right.
So,
Neither is raising the amount of the scholarship.
We can put forth a
We
recommendation.
can
Right.
put forth a
I would
recommendation.
recommend that we just do nothing.
Yeah, but I didn't know if we wanted to even, because as you mentioned, that was one concern where we would be doing 500 this year out of this one, and we actually earned 387. So do we?
So that's what I almost want to talk. I would like to talk about lowering the amount of the default funds.
What page are you on?
It's on
I'm
the,
on
the-
no.
Oh, yeah, I was looking at that, but I didn't see the numbers you were talking about.
Yeah, go to page.
The last
Is,
one.
is this a new one?
Okay.
I've got the one from the last time. Is there another one of these?
Yeah,
Oh, you know what? This is only the. Oh, that is the full year.
that's
yeah.
the full year.
Yeah.
The last page is the full year.
Okay, so we really should think about not eating into principal
Right.
into a $13,000 account that you want to keep in perpetuity.
Right.
So we probably should lower that to 250.
But we have the 1,000 from Wakefield.
That's not assigned for that.
But we had discussed opening up a scholarship to a Wakefield school graduate, right? Or someone lives in the town of Wakefield or
Let's
some.
not, I would suggest we don't, let's just think about them separately. Okay, so let's, on the default fund,
Which page we on?
last page.
The last one of
It's the sub-accounting one.
The small.
Webster Bank.
the
Yeah,
small
Oh.
print one.
the last page on the
Is, could,
sub-accounting.
I've got,
next one, Ben.
Is there a new one down there?
Yeah, there is.
All right.
The last page.
So 1,500 from Shannon then.
Yeah, so I propose on these, and thank you for bringing this up, Brian, that we only distribute income because these are in perpetuity, and if you start eating into principal, you know, rates might go down, and then you're really gonna eat into principal continually. So for the Shannon Fund, which is the third one down, on the sixth column from the left, if you include the names, has the annual income from each fund.
And it's
Ending-
1560,
It's supposed to be
1558.
projected because it goes to June 30th of this year.
Yeah.
So, the third line down is the Shannon Fund, and it earns 15, help me out, somebody.
1558.
All right, 1550. So let's,
And is that sitting at 1500? Do we know that?
yes,
Yeah.
well, according to Brian, it's
Yeah,
1500.
between the two, we did
2,000.
I think it was 15. I think it was last year was a 1,000.
1,000 for Shannon.
Last year they did something different. The schools did something different, and that's what's screwing me up. Usually they had been 3 in the past, the 500, a 500, and a 250, I think, or it was 350, and they combined 2 of them to where they did 1,000. I think it was 1,500 we did last year. Was two. They changed it to 1,000, and then the other was maybe it was 350 or 250 or I gotta look. Actually, I have that. So that was in.
Okay, so here's the easy way to do this is create, you know, I don't know, is it a proposal that for these scholarships, no more than the projected annual income is distributed
Each year.
Yeah.
each year. So this year, the default fund is gonna go down from 500 to, you could do 300
350.
or 250, you know.
350. It's, I mean, it's 387.
Yeah, 350.
You could do
Okay.
350, which
So,
is one
You
book.
just don't want to eat into principal every year to keep a level of a scholarship where it's been in the past.
Okay, so I don't know why I grabbed the 2023 ones quicker, but 2023 we had a scholarship of $200. We had 500. Okay, 500, and the other one's going to be 500. So we did 1,200
Total.
total. And what meeting was this? Was at July of 23. So okay, July of 24. I would have the ones from last year.
So 1,200 total?
Yes, two
In
500s
23.
in 23.
Yeah,
It was
the
two
interest
fi-
rates have come up.
It was
since
more in
then.
24, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the only change in 24 was they switched from 3 to 2, and they merged 2 of them. So 2024.
There aren't 3 scholarships. There's only
No,
2.
I think they just chose to split them.
Split them, yeah.
Split them multiple people.
Oh, I see what you mean.
If we just look at the income, in total, there's $473,000 of income.
But
Yeah.
there's only two that are assigned to scholarships.
And you can't touch the guild. That's the bulk of it.
Yeah, right.
Well, what happens to if there's only 2 funds that are given scholarship money, what happens to the other money?
They've been donated for other purposes. One's to support Stepping Stone, one is to support the high school, one is to support Wakefield School. That's no longer there. They were donated
allocated, yeah.
for
Okay,
specific purposes.
they've taken money out. I mean, they've actually.
Yeah, the Stepping Stone one, yes.
Yep.
Some of the others, not so
One,
much.
Wakefield School for
Yeah.
one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, when I write a trust, I always have a de minimis clause, you know, at some point, this fund is just not,
Right.
we've already
Keep
spent
it
more
open.
time
Yeah.
on it
Right.
right now at this meeting, let alone the work that has to get done.
Especially like the default, which is 13,000.
Yeah, it's very small at this point.
And we can't reallocate. We can't do anything with Wakefield. So
Back to my original proposal.
Yeah, we have to stay within the
You
income.
gotta stay within the
You
income.
got
Which
it.
we are. If it is so that was the 200 one that was coming out of there. So we are under that.
Okay,
So it
so
was- I
just
thought
be
it was the-
sure
yeah.
when we're doing these that you stay under
Yeah.
the income, whatever you take out of any of these.
And that's where
accounts.
we are actually a little
Except
bit
for
under.
I mean, we can pay out more, but
Yeah.
we shouldn't be.
So last year we do 1,200, and we actually
Okay,
earned
so we're
between the
okay.
two of them we earned 1,900. So we're
Yeah.
actually a little bit lower.
Yeah. So you can go up as long as it's within the limit.
Right. Correct.
And I don't even know if that's stipulated anywhere.
Yes, because just for it to remain in perpetuity. Yeah. Yeah. That it can only be the income.
Okay. So to button up our discussion on that then,
Wait a second. Normally, you give us a report on who gets this.
Yes, I haven't gotten that yet this year.
You don't know who's actually.
July usually,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
You have to reach out to them though, because I haven't gotten anything yet.
Yeah,
All right,
they have
so-
an award ceremony, right, when they,
Yeah.
sometime close to graduation.
Graduation, yeah. That's usually when I start hearing.
Yeah.
Because I usually get the names, but then they'll, I know I can't have Webster cut the checks until they get, what do I need, like their student ID number or something like that.
Mhm.
So. And it's usually not right away we're cutting the checks because they have to wait for those numbers to come in, but,
And there
That's
have
right.
been years when it hasn't been given out.
yeah, maybe.
I remember
Okay.
that.
Mm.
Because there's no applicants.
Oh,
Really?
I mean, the default is fairly
Yeah.
narrow, and
yeah.
who can
Get it.
who
I
can
mean,
apply?
Filling out a scholarship application takes time, and a lot of the kids
Yeah.
think it's
If I
it's
do
not
it
worth
for
it.
It's not
200
worth
bucks.
it. The time is not worth $250.
Right, there are
Yeah.
better scholarships that they can apply for.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I hear you, and I understand, and it's the responsible thing to do, but you almost want to make a mistake and spend the money. Say,
I know.
oh, sorry, go on, do something good with it and
Yeah.
get,
Well, I thought that was the point of
Try
bringing
to,
this up, is how do we?
I don't think it's
Mike
not
said
the
we
purview
can't.
of this committee.
And we
It's
can't.
just
Not how to
not.
spend the money, but how, can we suggest that we bundle some of these
We
inactive?
We can't.
we did.
We did.
The answer was from Marcelo, it's a big deal, you gotta go to court, spend a lot of money getting the court to say it is okay to change the purpose, and it might ultimately mean giving the money back to whoever,
To family
the
members,
family
like
who
you have to
gave it
go
to
all the
us.
way back to family
You
members.
may have to go back.
Well-
Unless it's a common, unless the fund that you want to transfer into has a common interest as the fund you're taking the money from. And only,
Yes, another charitable purpose, but, again,
similar
that
nature.
requires, that's not an
might
administrative
go into
decision.
court,
yeah.
It's a legal decision that the court has to make. That is Mike's opinion.
And it's expenditure to do that.
and the Attorney General, I believe, is the one that decides whether or not it's worthwhile going to court or not.
I think the town has the right to, file a suit, a petition in the court. They probably have to give notice to the AG, because it's a charitable thing, and they monitor it. So, I mean, we could, when I retire from my day job, I'll look at it, but I really don't
Yeah.
have the time to do all the research on that, because it's just a little,
I mean, some of these go back to 1600.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, they're really old.
Yes.
Have you ever read the document of what they all mean?
Only the synopsis that they have here. Never been to,
Oh,
I don't think anybody's been to
No.
the
Well,
town
no, I don't
clerk's.
know. You have, right? Haven't you seen?
no,
all
I
that?
have a copy of it.
yeah, we have a
Yeah.
copy. They're available, yeah. Did I give you?
A
Yeah,
copy
I
of
made a
it.
copy.
You got my book, I
Yeah.
think, right?
Yeah, I made some copies. Yeah.
Do you still have mine, or did I get it back?
No, I gave it back.
You did?
I
Yeah.
don't remember
Believe-
where it is. Somewhere in here.
We're talking about,
Oh,
we're talking about.
that's what this
trusts-
whole binder is.
We're talking about trusts that aren't dispersing any money, is what we're talking about. Not the ones that
I
aren't
think
giving-
they're
not
all
the ones that aren't giving
dispersing,
the money.
except that there was
The ones
no,
that aren't giving the money.
what,
I'm
Say
I'm
that-
only interested in the funds that aren't dispersing it. Well, but you say they are doing other
They
things
are.
with it.
they.
Yeah, it's not up to us to
some of them,
determine them.
And they didn't disperse because there was no applicant. So
Or Stepping
Doesn't-
Stones didn't need anything that year, so therefore the money was retained. but if Stepping Stones needs whatever, then they can go to that fund and take it.
I think I don't know of or recall any disbursements out of that depreciation fund. And obviously, I can't imagine we'd have any now with Wakefield. Those are the two that don't have disbursements.
Right.
I mean, I think whenever it was, a couple of years ago, we asked the question of Mike.
Yeah.
And it came back sort of a polite no. You can't.
Right. And if you push it, you may have to give it back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was. Yeah. I didn't think we were done with the conversation
I
at
didn't
the last
either.
meeting, so I wanted to make sure it was on there. And also, I just wanted to kind of go over. I've been meeting myself because I looked at this recently, and I was thinking this was the one that had the income of 3 and 7. I thought that was one of the ones that was a $500, and we were cutting into the principal.
Okay,
I
so
just
we're
wanted to
good.
talk that
But
through.
we're not,
We're
yeah.
not.
Okay, so then, so further review and discussion of combining funds that are inactive based on assigned purpose. We're gonna stop talking about
Yes.
this, okay?
Yeah.
Because it's kept going on and
Yes.
on and on, okay? So we're gonna agree right now, our hands are tied until such time as Terry retires and he takes this on.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
So we don't need a motion or anything, because it's just gonna
No,
continue
it's
as it
just-
has.
Yeah, we're not changing anything.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah. We discussed and we're done.
yeah, agree to continue
Agreed
on,
it's not the purview of this committee
yeah.
to make that decision.
But at least, you know, it's
We'll
documented
keep it in front
that
of the-
we
yes.
are talking about it.
Yes, and we'll keep
Yep.
it in the forefront of Terry's mind when
That's
he
right.
retires.
And Ben will see to it.
I think it should be kept in front of the town council
Yes.
as well.
So if, I was gonna bring that up too, Ben, so, you know, I don't know when that might occur or how that might occur, but I also, or whether they even read our minutes, I have no idea. So,
Yeah.
perhaps the next time we get to present, we make sure that that's one of our bullet items that should be one of their bullet items
Or
potentially.
we can ask to present when we circle back to this conversation, as I'm sure we will, and ask to present to the town and have them opine on what they want to do.
You know what, we can do that, that's gonna require some catch-up work from us before I would be comfortable
Yeah, we've
in front
gotta-
of them
That's
and
right.
presenting.
Right,
So let me just suggest, be careful of what you ask for.
Yes,
Right.
exactly.
Because it's gonna get kicked back and more work and we're not ready.
Yep.
Down
Right.
to-
And they're looking. I believe they would welcome that conversation because
they're trying to find money.
there are 1 or 2 of these that are associated with the high school, and can those be used for the high school project?
So, I mean, it is a good conversation, there's a lot of, so, perhaps, next meeting, we could think about, when that might be, for the committee. I know I'm out of pocket till like the fall,
Yeah.
for any new, volunteer
I
experience.
think everybody's
So-
got to get up to steam on
Right,
the
that's
book.
what I'm saying.
Yes.
Right, so I would table further discussions until probably the turn of the year, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the new year.
Think about when you wanna get in front of the town council, not when you wanna talk about this.
I don't wanna, I'm talking about, let's talk about it in the fall and then think about getting in front of the town council next spring. I don't think it's a huge hurry. I think we're from an fiduciary committee standpoint, we're doing the right things. We're not paying out any income. The account's earning 5.89%. I just looked it up right now. So, it's, you know, for all fixed income product. So I think we should address the issue. It will take some time for all of us to get up to speed on the documents and the names and what they're distributing and et cetera. So Brian's got a lot on his plate too. And I know he's already got a lot. So I propose that we talk about it in the fall, let Brian have a summer vacation, and we attempt to get in front of the committee, town council, or at least a memo. We don't have to do a live
Right,
presentation. We
right.
can just do a memo. It'll
Yep.
be a lot easier.
Yep.
So, I propose a memo sometime in the new year.
So we have plenty of time to plan his retirement.
Yes.
Get everybody there.
Appoint him as the guru of this project.
Exactly.
Well, we're stepping off though. Remember, we have this February memo
Yes.
from Mike,
Yes.
which sort of lays out the problem
Yes.
really well.
Yes.
So we need to find an end around for
Yes.
that.
Right here. Yes.
That's,
Yes.
Yeah.
that's our
Right.
town solicitor's opinion that he
Yeah.
wrote because somebody else did the research.
Yep.
Yeah.
And said that, let me take it out of the law book
Yeah.
and
Yep.
see what the wording is.
Right.
Well, these things have come before the court previously.
Before the
In
court.
my mind, North Kingstown, no, where somebody wants to switch what a trust has said to another purpose. And in North Kingstown, there was a building there or something that they wanted to turn into something other than it was, and it went on for years.
Right.
And eventually it was resolved, but it's a difficult road to hoe.
That's like changing the purpose of the guild. You can't.
Right.
Right,
But
exactly.
there was
That
a lot
bigger
more.
fish to fry, though.
Yeah.
Than
That was a-
$87.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean,
Correct. There was a lot at stake in the North
Yeah,
Kingstown issue.
exactly. So,
A building. This is what,
Yeah.
$50,000. I mean, I'd like to have another $50,000, but unfortunately we can't do that with this fund. So anyway, okay. Next item: discussion from a prior meeting, further review and discussion into combining funds that are inactive based.
We just did
Yeah.
Yes,
that.
we did that, and the scholarship funds. Okay, so other matters. Any other old business? We schedule the next meeting.
Make a motion, we go adjourn after we. Well, we already have the next meeting, right?
We do.
Yeah.
July 23rd.
Yeah.
Wow.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Ayes have it. Good. 55 minutes. Actually, 50. 5 minutes late.
Well, that's
Delay
what
of
the
this